Hello everyone and welcome back to Steins Gate Zero. I'm G and I'm tired and this is good. And Maho's tired. Everybody's tired in the end. Everybody's tired. We all tired down here. Anyways, they relaxed for a moment after turning off the video chat. Suzuha thought back to the time before she'd become a time traveler. She did this every time she got off the video chat with Maho. Oh, Hyajo. Someone who helped build the time machine, huh? It was after Maho had gone back to America that she'd volunteered to help Suzuha and Itaru with the time machine. That meant that when Itaru Hashida completed the time machine 25 years from now, Maho Hyajo must have contributed in some way. But I know I shouldn't say too much about the future, but there was nobody by that name helping you, you know?
Really?
Which means she probably left the team at some point. I don't know whether it was of her own free will or due to some external factor. If nothing else, I don't think she was part of the core team.
I see. It's pretty handy to have around, though.
I don't really want to say this, but there's a possibility she might be a spy.
What? No way, not Mahotan of all people.
Sorry. I just want you to remember that it's a possibility. I told you, the war of information that comes before the Third World War has already started. Either way, we can't let anybody find out the machine's secrets. Just make sure you're very careful about that.
Yeah.
So, are you going to work on the time machine going forward?
You really need Okarin's help.
That's the thing. I don't know if we can persuade Uncle Ocarine. I might have to do it by force.
Who was it that tried before and then it failed?
Suzuha pursed her lips. Even with a gun in his face, Rintaro Okabe still wouldn't get in the time machine. To be honest, Suzuha was out of options. She stifled a sigh. It didn't do any good to let herself get down. Come to think of it, how are things with Mom? I'm more worried about that. Is everything okay? I'm still gonna be born, right?
Oh, well, is that more important than the time machine?
Hey! Suzuha stormed over to Itaru. You can't screw this up, Dad!
Yeah, Teddy's gonna do his best, okay?
All you ever do is talk. You even wasted those movie tickets we gave you, didn't you? She meant the pair of movie tickets that Mayuri and Ferris had conspired to give them at the Christmas party.
That was because Ocarina and Miss Fubuki collapsed, you know? They were so busy with hospital visits and stuff that the movie left the theater. It's not like it's my fault.
I heard that when they tried to give you new tickets, you turned them down.
Who told you that?
Big Sis Mayu and Big Sis Rumi, obviously.
That's because, it's not very manly to make those two do all the work, is it?
So, did you go and do something yourself? This isn't going to work. Maybe this was a far more important problem than the time machine. Suzuha brought her hands up to her head. Listen, Dad, I'm not going to be around to lecture you like this forever, okay? I'm leaving soon.
Oh.
Suddenly there was a sad look in Itaru's eyes. Don't make that face. I promised I'd stop worrying about it. For the past 6 months, Suzuha had been thinking about whether it was really right to erase this world. But in the end, it was none other than Itaru who'd pushed her to go ahead.
I'm sorry.
She couldn't bear to see her father so depressed, so she patted his broad back. Now just sit there and be glum. Send Mom a message and see if she's free sometime. And if she is, invite her to a movie.
That's way too sudden.
I don't care if it's sudden or not. Do it anyway, okay? This is an order.
An order?
What's your answer?
Sir, yes, sir!
Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower.
Oh, but before that, I'm gonna hit the convenience store. I actually haven't eaten yet. I'm probably gonna be up all night again, so I want to get there before it gets too late.
Still hunched over, he pointed towards the development room. He was pointing at the phone wave names, which would change Unit 0.2 that was put together, but still undergoing testing.
Ah, don't glare at me like that. I'll eat as healthy as I can, so please forgive me.
Vanilla.
Huh?
I want ice cream when I'm done with my shower. Vanilla ice cream.
Okay, I'll go buy you a lot of really top shelf stuff.
It doesn't have to be a lot. This one thing is fine.
Yes, sir.
That was enough to cheer Daru up. He took his wallet and ran out of the lab. Such a handful. She had just about taken off her jacket so she could take that shower. But
Suzuha.
Itaru had come back into the lab. What is it?
I found this on the stairs.
Itaru showed her a keychain he was holding. It was a round anime character whose color had faded to a smoky green. It was an Upa.
You know whose this is?
Big Sis Mayu's, probably? She leaned forward to take a closer look, and then felt like she was experiencing deja vu. I've seen this Upa somewhere before. She'd seen it before. Couldn't really remember when, but her internal alarms were going off. This keychain was extremely important. Upas were common enough that you could find them anywhere. The plastic edges had been worn down, the paint was faded and coming off in places. But there was no dust and there were no stains. Instead, it shone brightly as if its owner had put in a lot of effort into taking good care of it. The chain was so old that part of it had snapped off. That was probably how it got dropped. Where was it? I've seen this before.
Did Mayushi show it to you?
I don't know. She stared at the green Upa in Itaru's hands, and then in her mind she heard a young girl's scream. It's Mommy's Upa keychain. I'm giving it to you. Take care of it, okay? She gasped. A feeling of indescribable terror raced down her spine. This can't be. Kaguri's. That was when she'd last seen it. August 13th, 2036. The day she'd gone to the time machine. That's when she'd seen the Upa. It was older and more worn now, but the more she remembered that day, the more certain she became. This was the Upa that Mayuri had given to Kaguri. She'd seen Kaguri holding it and crying to herself many times before.
Kaguri? You mean future Miss Mayu's daughter?
Yeah.
Did you find her?
No. But she knows where I am.
What do you mean?
He's watching this lab. Satisfied, she headed off to take a shower. Ever since then, her careful efforts to defend the time machine had paid off, and she hadn't seen any sign of Kaguri. But she'd never thought she'd be watching the lab. No, it would have been obvious if I'd given it any thought. She's trying to stop us from reaching Steins Gate. She doesn't want this world to end. Which means she's watching not just me, but you too?
Huh? Me?
Well, I don't think your life is in danger. Probably. If you believe what we know about how world lines work, you live till at least 2036. But she might come to interfere with your research so we can't reach Steins Gate. A lot of bad things had been happening around Suzuha, Itaru, and Rinjiro Okabe. There was some possibility that the final target was Itaru. From now on, just be safe. Lock the door whenever I'm not around.
Okay, got it.
Even if Uncle Ocarine, Mom, or Big Sis Mayu are here, don't leave it open. It might not help much, but make sure you use the door chain too.
You know, Ocarina and Mayushi are one thing, but if I did that when I was alone with Amayashi, don't you think that'd give her the wrong idea?
That's true.
If that makes her not like me, my whole family could be in trouble.
Suzuha groaned softly, unsure of what to do. If you'd only gotten to be your boyfriend sooner, there wouldn't be a problem.
Wait, back to that?
Just be careful, okay?
Suzuha decided to keep the green Oopa keychain. She softly ran her fingertips over it as she stared at it. Hey, Suzuha. Oguri-tan's not related to Mayushi, but she's still her daughter, right?
That's right.
Did somebody raised by Mayushi grow up to be the kind of person who'd assault someone? I just can't imagine it. From what you've told me, I'd expect her to be a kind, easygoing, and cute little girl.
I wish that was what happened. Yeah, I thought that was how she'd turn out too. But now she's probably...
From what she'd seen at the radio building, she could tell. Kaguri had definitely received professional combat training. It wasn't just the simple self-defense techniques that she'd learned from Suzuha when she was a child. As she'd grown up, she'd been taught the cold techniques of a killer. There was no way to know where she'd been or what she'd been doing ever since she'd gone missing in 1998. But there was no doubt in Suzuha's mind that she was trying to ruin her plans. Suzuha sighed as she took her shower. Since it was summer, she'd set the water temperature low. It was barely any hotter than tap water. As long as the water was pouring down on her, she could feel like all the bad memories were being washed away. She slapped her cheeks with both hands and turned off the water. The small tiled room suddenly became quiet. In the silence, she vigorously toweled off her hair. This building was never intended for anyone to live in. Not only was there very little room, there wasn't even a place to change. It was small, and there were no windows, and the steam from the shower room built up, making it an unpleasant sauna in summer. Supposedly, Daru and Okabe would sit naked next to the fans to get away from the heat and moisture. Of course, that was only when the girls, as well as Urishibara, weren't around. But Suzuha couldn't do that. There were those huge scars on her chest. If she was careless and Yuki saw them, she'd have a big problem. So she always forced herself to change within this small space. The second she left the shower room, she realized something was wrong. The lights were off in the part behind the curtain where the lab room was. She was sure she had left all the lab lights on when she'd gone to take a shower. She didn't remember turning them off. Still completely naked, she flung open the curtain. She dropped to the floor, ready to move. She could tell by the light from the shower room that there was no one else there. She didn't hear any breathing and she didn't feel any other presence.
Did Dad come back?
And then when he'd left, he turned off the lights. No, that couldn't be right. She looked around the room and saw that things had been moved in a way that an amateur wouldn't be able to notice. Utaru's computer desk, the sofa area, the bookshelves, even the mini-kitchen. Someone had gone through them all. From the look of it, the same was probably true of the development room. Suzuha glanced over all the areas where she kept her guns. Closest was the sofa that she used as a bed. She'd wanted to have one easily available if she was attacked while she slept, so she had cut out the back of one of the sofa cushions and hidden a suppressed semi-automatic pistol in it. It was just a .32 caliber for self-defense, so it wouldn't do much damage unless you had good aim. But it was small and relatively quiet, which made it the best choice for a place like this. Suzuha tensed all of her muscles, coiling like a spring, and slowly moved towards the sofa without making a sound. As she did, she tried to notice any changes in the surrounding area. There was a small sound in the development room. It was a tiny, tiny creaking of the floor, to which you'd usually pay no mind. That was more than enough for Suzuha. In an instant, she moved from quiet to action. She cleared the distance to the sofa in a single moment and quickly drew her gun. She held it ready and slipped into the shadow of the refrigerator. From this position, she could barely see into the development room. The room became silent again. But this time the intruder in the other room didn't try to hide their presence.
Try anything and I'll shoot. Hands on your head. Come out slowly.
Suzuha threatened the intruder in a low voice, but the intruder seemed completely unconcerned as they exposed themselves to Suzuha's gaze.
You must be pretty hot wearing that in this weather. Why not at least take off your helmet?
The intruder was wearing a motorcycle suit, just like before. Even the helmet was the same. The leather suit clung tight to their skin, revealing a voluptuous and perfectly proportioned body. It was clearly a woman.
What you're looking for isn't there. It's in my pocket.
Suzuha pointed towards the entrance to the shower room. The shirt she'd just taken off was lying there on the floor. The girl in the motorcycle suit turned her head. Because the face mask was down, Suzuha couldn't read her expression.
You should know better than to drop that. It's something Mommy gave you. Right, Kagari?
The second she spoke, Kagari Shina was the first to move. She drew a deglossed military knife that she must have been hiding behind her back and closed the gap between herself and Suzuha in an instant. Suzuha pointed the gun at her legs and pulled the trigger, carefully aiming away from her vitals. She heard the small pop of a suppressed 32 and saw Kagari lose her balance and fall. Or she thought she did, but it was a feint. She'd only pretended to lose her balance. In fact, she'd changed directions and was heading for the shower room. It seemed her first goal was to get what she'd come for.
Huh?
After firing only one shot, Suzuha realized. Even a 32 should have more recoil than this. She fired again, but Kagari didn't flinch even for a moment.
Blank? How?
At some point, all the bullets in Suzuha's gun had been swapped with blanks. That instant's panic was all it took. Kagari reached out for the shirt on the floor in front of the shower room.
No way!
Suzuha gave up on firing and flung the gun at Kagari. There was a dull thud as the hard barrel slammed into her neck. Caught off balance, she staggered before she could grab the shirt.
Ah!
You could hear Kagari's voice for the first time from within the helmet. Suzuha jumped. She kicked the off-balance Kagari as hard as she could with her toned, muscled legs. This was no time to hold back. Kagari went flying all the way to the edge of the room. It had to have broken a few ribs. Suzuha jumped towards her to continue her attack. But with terrifying speed, Kagari leapt off the ground and charged at Suzuha. There wasn't enough time to come to a full stop.
Ah!
The sharp blade swept by, mere centimeters from her exposed abdomen. If she'd pulled back even a few tenths of a second later, the knife would have fatally sliced open her gut.
You bitch!
The blood rushed to Suzuha's head. Kagari was serious. She was planning to kill her. There was no hesitation in her movements. Suzuha leapt back and searched for something she could use as a weapon. But the other guns were probably no different. There was a good chance they'd all had their ammo swapped with blanks too. It was even possible that all of her self-defense knives had been taken too. Which left? There were several knives carefully stored in the kitchen. He had brought them over to use in teaching the other girls how to cook. But Kagari had evidently noticed them as well, and she was moving to keep Suzuha from reaching them.
Huh, looks like you've had a lot of practice. It's hard to believe you're the same girl who spent all her time sobbing inside the time machine. I'm surprised.
Suzuha kept her distance from Kagari as she slowly moved along the wall. Her competitive drive burned even brighter as she tried to come up with a way to overcome her disadvantage.
Here, Kagari. This is what you're after, right?
She picked up her shirt from in front of the shower room and took the green keychain out of its pockets.
What's wrong? Come get it.
Her fingers moved as if to crush it. She could see Kagari twitch. For the first time, she could detect a hint of emotion beyond the helmet. And in an instant, she threw it at Kaguri's stomach. The keychain flew in a slow arc like he was tossing it to a friend. If something they loved was thrown like that, even the fiercest warrior would instinctively reach out both hands to grab it. Kaguri was no exception. She carefully held her mother's memento in both her empty left hand and the right hand that still clutched the knife. Using the slow arc of the keychain as camouflage, Suzuha ran at her in a straight line. Her right fist connected hard with Kaguri's stomach, and her left arm smashed Kaguri's head to the side. Ah! Kaguri's body fell to the ground, her right shoulder taking the brunt of the fall. Suzuha could hear the sound of her joint dislocating. The knife slipped from her grasp. Suzuha got behind her and mounted her, twisting her right arm mercilessly. At the same time, she slipped her own left arm around Kaguri's neck and squeezed hard. She could hear something like a moan from Kaguri's throat. She could both hear and feel the bones in her arm and neck creaking. Stay put! I'm not going to kill you. But Kaguri picked up the knife on the floor with her left hand and once again tried to use it on Suzuha. Suzuha was forced to squeeze her arm and neck even harder. Stop it, Kaguri! I understand how you feel now, but it's wrong! It's wrong! But Kaguri didn't stop. If anything, she tried even harder to pull Suzuha away. What kind of training did she get? Even in all the battles she'd been in, this much pressure in two different spots was enough to get even the toughest soldier to submit for a fallen conscience. Terrified, Suzuha squeezed even harder. At this rate, she wouldn't simply knock her out. She really would kill Kaguri. But if she stopped, Kaguri would kill her. What should she do? Exist, Suzuha. It hurts. It hurts. And then she heard a sad, weak voice from inside the helmet. It startled her, and she relaxed both of her arms. But that was just what Kaguri had hoped for. The knife came very close to cutting Suzuha's left arm. When she let go to dodge it, Kaguri shook her off and kicked at her hips with both legs. Suzuha was slammed back hard into the computer desk, and for a moment she couldn't breathe. She fell to the floor, and the printer and monitor crashed mercilessly into her naked body. She forced herself to stand up, gasping hard as she did so. Kaguri's breathing was heavy too. Her right arm was pointed at an impossible direction, hanging limp. She wouldn't be able to use it for a while, probably. But her left arm was still holding the knife. You learned some dirty tricks, haven't you? Suzuha glared at Kaguri's face, not that she could see what it looked like behind that helmet. The two of them fell silent as they tried to catch their breath. The tension in the air was so thick that it was difficult to move a muscle. Sweat rolled down her forehead and into her eyes, but she still didn't blink as she waited for Kaguri to make her next move. It was the sound of the front door opening that broke their stalemate. Hey, Suzuha, did I just hear a loud noise? Suzuha felt a chill run down her spine when she heard Itaru's voice. Huh? Why is it so dark? No, Dad, stay back! She yelled at the exact same instant he turned on the lights. The sudden brightness was enough to make Suzuha flinch for an instant. Kaguri was wearing a full-face helmet, and that made all the difference. She leapt towards Itaru just a moment before Suzuha. Huh? Kaguri's black knife went up to his throat. Dad! Kaguri spun around behind him, using Itaru's huge body as a shield. Suzuha staggered towards him, gritting her teeth. Let go, Kaguri. Lay one finger on Dad. I don't care who you are, Kaguri. I'll kill you. But Kaguri remained silent as she headed outside the door with her hostage. And then the next moment, she shoved him forward. Daru lost his balance and fell towards Suzuha. Suzuha fell to the ground underneath his weight. Daru just barely managed to support himself with his arms and legs to keep from crushing her. Move! Suzuha tried to shove him off, using a little more force than she may have intended. But Itaru was so huge it would take a moment for him to get up. Is why I told you to lose weight!
What?
She was getting away. She somehow managed to crawl out from under him and quickly tried to follow after Kaguri.
Suzuha, wear this!
Daru was still lying on the floor as he tossed the naked Suzuha her shirt. She grabbed it and quickly put it on, then ran outside. But when she looked around the street, the girl on the motorcycle leathers wasn't there. There was no way to even know where she'd gone. She got away! It would be dangerous to run around trying to find her now. There was a chance Itaru would be attacked while she wasn't at the lab.
Was that Kaguri-tan?
Itaru came outside as well. Yeah, I'm almost certain.
I see.
This is how it's going to be with the two of us in the end. The bruises and wounds were bad enough, but the pain that ached in her heart was the worst of all. You know, I really did like her.
Yeah.
She was small, so brave. She always did her best to protect Big Sis Mayu. And I taught her a lot. I thought of her as like a little sister.
Yeah.
But now, she's my enemy. Itaru straightened up her shirt sleeves.
You know, look like a slutty girl in an H game right now, Suzuha.
Huh? What? Suzuha was caught completely off guard. True, her t-shirt only came down to just below her hips, roughly the length of a miniskirt. Her breasts were almost completely bared. The shirt's hem was turned up and she felt exposed.
Well, I don't mind H games with slutty girls, and I don't think the whole naked except for a t-shirt thing is all that bad.
I'm being silly again. Could have gotten badly hurt.
But Daru shook his head. I got freaked out by the knife, but I don't think I really needed to be that scared. Unless I'm mistaken.
Daru rubbed the part of his neck where the knife blade was.
When she had the knife to my throat, I could hear it, just a little.
Hear what?
She was probably crying.
Huh? Crying? Under that helmet? After that whole battle with Suzuha? While holding a knife to Itaru's neck? Why?
So don't you think it's a little too early to jump to conclusions?
Dad?
Hmm?
Did you buy me that vanilla ice cream?
Yeah, of course.
I'd love to eat it. I'm a little tired. And then she almost fell forward.
What?
Itaru managed to catch her before she hit the ground.
Hey Suzuha.
I'm fine, but let me rest a little. That was all she had the energy to say. She closed her eyes in her dad's arms, and her consciousness melted away. When July came, the sun shone down even harder on eastern Japan. Summer was truly here. The news had been saying for days that the heat island effect might make this the hottest summer in years. And then on the first Sunday in July, the arrivals lobby at the international terminal of Naita Airport was filled with foreigners and Japanese passengers returning home.
Look at all these people. I think there's more now than there were a moment ago. I didn't expect the airport to be this busy on a Sunday, yeah.
Oh my goodness, my Ferris voice is rough today. Don't miss her, Mayuri, Ferris. You know how tiny she is. The three of us were waiting for someone here. Oh? Rain?
Sorry, I can't go today.
It's fine, no problem.
Really?
Huh? Why?
No, please tell Maho I said hello.
Sure, got it. Please and thank you. Okay. We've been there almost an hour.
Okay, I'm gonna have to tell him you said that.
Please don't. It was just a joke.
There's no sign of her, though. Maybe it was a mistake to try and surprise her by meeting her at the airport, yeah.
We should have at least asked what time she was arriving. We hadn't told her that we were coming to greet her. And so all we knew was that she was arriving at Narita on an afternoon flight. If I'd known we were going to have to wait so long, I would have tried to get the arrival time out of her. There was a stream of passengers flowing by us, but no sign of the person we were waiting for. Just as I was starting to wonder if we'd missed her because she was so small, she finally appeared. Or more precisely, I saw a giant travel suitcase rolling all by itself away from the gate. And from behind it, I heard a voice I recognized.
Christ, I did not fake my passport. What is wrong with people? Every single time, no matter what country I go to, they always have to check it and it always takes forever.
I walked up to the suitcase and gave it a pat. Yeah, Joe.
Huh?
Mao had been leaning forward and pushing the suitcase as hard as she could. Her mouth hung open when she saw me.
What?
It's been a while. Glad you were able to make it past customs.
You?
You look really pale. You okay?
Of course I'm okay. Wait, never mind that. What are you doing here?
You told me you were arriving this afternoon, right? So I decided to come surprise you.
You did? Thanks. Thanks.
For some reason, her voice became really weird the moment she saw me. Was my being here really that much of a surprise?
But you know, I told you I can get to Akihabara Station on my own, and to meet me there.
Aw, come on. You've come all this way, so it's the least I could do. Also, I'm not sure you can really get to Akihabara on your own.
How rude. I'm not that helpless.
Mayuri and Ferris came up as well.
Maho! Toot-toot-toot! Toot-toot. Toot-toot-toot! Manya, I missed you!
As Mayuri grabbed Maho's hand, Ferris walked up and gave her a big hug.
Mayuri, Ferris, it's good to see you. You came all this way to welcome me. Thank you. By the way, can you not yell Maho-nyan at the top of your lungs in a place like this? Nyan, it's cute! Look around, everyone's laughing, right? It's embarrassing. Meow, is it nya?
Ferris really sticks out, after all. While we've been waiting here, all the foreigners had been pointing at her and yelling, "Cat ears, cat ears!" Some had even asked for pictures. Yeah, Joe, I'll take your luggage.
Oh, thanks.
Still, this was a really sudden trip, wasn't it? It was only a few days ago that I had found out she was coming. Are you here to help Dr. Leskinen again?
Oh, well...
Maho was fidgeting and glancing up at me.
Are you still talking to Dr. Leskinen very often?
Yeah, he's still over here doing his research, right? Sometimes he invites me out to dinner. It's a big honor.
I see. That's bad.
Bad? Why?
Oh, nothing. Nothing you have to worry about.
She really was acting weird. She wasn't like this when I saw her last winter. Was she tired from her trip? Or was seeing us here that much of a surprise?
I'm not here to help the professor this time. I'm visiting some relatives in Okinawa. But since I'm here anyway, I decided to drop by Akihabara first.
I see. Okinawa, huh? For a moment, the name of that place brought back visions of that nightmarish time. After I collapsed on Christmas, I was sent to another world line where I'd spent a month fleeing to Okinawa.
Okinawa? That sounds so nice. I'd love to go there. You didn't go there on your school trip, yeah? We went to Hokkaido. And Hawaii, yeah? Wow, a foreign country. Aloha.
Putting aside the girls and their talk of school trips. So, Hiajo, you're not staying in Tokyo that long.
Huh? Yeah, I guess I wouldn't be. You're right. You have a hotel in Akihabara, yeah? Not yet. I'm going to go look for a cheap business hotel. Then come stay at my place. You can use the same room you used before, yeah? What? I really couldn't. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm always happy to have you, yeah. I really couldn't. Then how about this, yeah? You can stay for free, but in exchange you have to do just a little bit of work at my cafe, yeah? Your cafe? Make Queen Yan, right? You can't mean the place where they all wear the cat ears? That's right, yeah. All my cat-eared maids are busy with komima preparations right now, yeah. They come to me crying and asking for time off, yeah. In other words, there's a serious shortage of cat-eared maids, yeah. That's right, yeah. How about Maho Yan? How about Yan? I refuse. What? Why not? Why? You know why. I wouldn't look good in those things. You sure would. I usually sure you'd look great. No objections, yeah. Okay, and you think so too, right, Yan?
Yeah, I'm sure she'd get plenty of fans.
Fans? I don't like being flattered.
I'm not flattering you, though.
Then you need to get to go to an optometrist and get your eyes checked. Yeah, she turned all red. I did not. I think Mahonya needs to realize how attractive she is, yeah. Yep, if Mayushi was a boy, she'd be in love. I'm telling you, that's not true.
I think you should, probably. I don't know how to say it. Put a little more effort into your appearance, maybe. If you did, I'm sure you'd look more. I was trying my best to sound encouraging, but just ended up sounding like a real jerk. Of course she was annoyed.
I'm fine as I am. My job as a scientist is my first priority. But what if you find a guy you like, yeah? You won't be able to show him how you feel, yeah? I'm fine. I don't think it'll ever happen, so it doesn't worry me.
She gave a sigh that was a little too deliberate.
I'm so sorry. The jet lag and the trip have got me a little tired. I know the feeling, yeah. Jet lag is rough, yeah. I've got a limo ready so you can catnap on the way, yeah. A limo?
Bears had rented a white limo to pick up Maho. Sheesh, you really did go overboard. But thanks to that, Mayuri and I were able to enjoy its big comfy seats on the way to Narita Airport.
You can rest on my lap if you want, yeah. Or would you rather rest on my Yushi's lap, yeah? Maybe she's okay with that. I'm fine. I'm not a kid.
I can tell you're really tired, though. Are you that busy with work?
Well, I've got 2 projects going on.
2 projects? You're working on something besides Amadeus? Quickly put her hand over her mouth.
Well, it's classified information.
I see. Sorry about that. It was true that American University Labs had a lot of stuff like that going on there. I'd heard there were a lot of industrial spies. If she wasn't careful about what she said, she might get fired or worse. It was a mistake on my part to even ask.
Come to think of it. Where's Hashida today?
He's doing the most important job of his life right now.
Most important job of his life? I was on a date right now.
Maho's shock was almost comical.
I really must be tired. I'm hearing things.
No, I can understand why you'd feel that way, but...
He really is on a date. What? I can't believe it. You're kidding me. That pervert?
Even Maho was calling him a pervert. Daru had said he was talking to Maho a lot too, and I could just imagine what their conversations were like. But actually, if Daru didn't do his best today, it would ruin the world's entire chain of causality. In that sense, Daru's date today was an event with universe-spanning implications. About half the streets at Gogokuri were full. It was Sunday, but it was also after 2 p.m., and so the lunchtime rush was over. Suzuha was sitting at the restaurant's far edge, a baseball cap pulled down over her face. She was hiding her face with the cap and carefully watching a couple sitting nearby. Here you go, your Major Curry. A cheerful employee put down 2 giant silver plates, or trays more accurately, in front of them. Suzuha could see the other customers looking at them and whispering. The couple really stood out, after all. The man was a giant who looked like he ate Major Curry all the time, but the woman was slim, pretty, and looked very kind. The combination of huge man and slim woman was as unbalanced as the combination of pretty girl and Major Curry. Major Curry was big, it was huge. Suzuha knew from experience. The massive silver trays were loaded with rice and curry and topped with 2 fried cutlets, fried shrimp, sausage, a boiled egg, and a mountain of cabbage. There was 2 or 3 times as much curry as you'd find in a normal dish, and the toppings were just as big. Even a growing young boy would find it hard to eat them all. Suzuha was irritated.
Are you ordering Major Curry on your first date with her, Dad?
Beauty and the Beast couple that Suzuha was watching, of course, was Itaru and Yuki. In the morning, they gone to see a movie in Yurakucho, then you come to Akihabara and gone straight to Gogokuri. Suzuha had followed them the whole time. That's why she couldn't believe Itaru's choice of date spots.
I don't mind Gogokuri at all. In fact, I like it, but this is your first date. There are other places you could have gone.
She plucked her spoon tight and gritted her teeth. Suzuha knew next to nothing about Japanese youth culture in 2011, and even she knew it was a bad idea. Who knew what was going through Yuki's mind? Or so Suzuha thought. But
wow, it's even more amazing than the pictures.
surprisingly, Yuki was ignoring the people around her and innocently enjoying the huge curry. Manshi, if you can't eat it all, I'll finish it for you, okay?
Okay, thank you, but I'm actually pretty good at this.
Yeah? That's a surprise.
I actually would always just come and look at the menu outside. I always wanted to try this. I'm glad you brought me here.
I'm glad to hear that. Suzuha had evidently worried over nothing, but still she realized that Itaru was acting strangely. Ever since she'd come out of the movie theater, he was walking and talking strangely. Instead of his usual hunched posture, he was forcing himself to stand up straight. His every movement seemed oddly forced, as if he were a broken robot. And he downed glass after glass of water.
I'm sorry, may I have some more water too?
Huh? Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Itaru poured water into Yuki's cup. Suzuha had a bad feeling. And she was right. Itaru was moving so awkwardly that he almost spilled water on her hand.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
My hand just got a little wet. Anyways, let's eat before it gets cold, okay?
Yuki quickly wiped down the table with her handkerchief and grabbed her fork and spoon. There were stars in her eyes.
Okay, let's eat.
Let's eat. Yuki seemed to be really enjoying her meal, but Itaru was very formal and quiet. He was taking little nibbles out of his piece of fried cutlet, like a squirrel eating a nut. The whole time, they weren't saying a word.
What are you doing, Dad? Mom's not going to want to be around you if you're like that.
She decided to send him a message on Ryan telling him to get his act together, and she'd just taken out her phone when... Here's your magic curry with extra roux! A huge plate was laid on the table in front of her. The other customers started murmuring again. Come to think of it, when she'd followed them into the story, she'd ordered her usual, major curry with extra roux, and then forgotten about it. Now everybody was going to focus on her. In a small shop like this, it was suicide.
Huh?
Just as she expected, her eyes met Yuki's.
Suzuha, I didn't realize you were here.
Oh,
Yeah, what a coincidence seeing you here, Yuki, brother. You should have said something. No, I didn't even notice you. Really.
She realized that she should probably leave, but she couldn't go in without at least taking a bite of the major curry in front of her. Her experiences in the war had left her completely unable to waste food. She felt Yuki and Itaru staring at her as she reluctantly picked up her spoon.
Anyway, yeah, you two enjoy yourselves.
Her only choice was to finish her extra large curry as soon as possible. She couldn't let herself be in the way. But instead, Yuki came over and picked up Suzuha's plate.
Huh? Excuse me, can my friend sit with us?
Sure, go ahead.
He said it's okay, let's all eat together. Wait, why? Why? Because you ordered magic curry too, I think we need to have a race. Huh? Hush, I can be the judge.
And before Suzuha could respond, Yuki had moved her plate over to their table.
No, wait.
She had no choice but to follow, but before she sat down, she whispered in Yuki's ear.
You're on a date, right? Huh? Oh yeah, I'm on a date. Makes me blush when I say it out loud.
Daru didn't react at all, even though she was sure he'd overheard that.
I've never been on a date, so I don't know how they work, but... Is it normal to have a curry speed eating contest with another girl in the middle of a date? I don't really know. But you see it a lot in anime and manga, don't you? Little sister who doesn't want to lose her big brother runs up to the girlfriend and says, "Let's have a competition!"
For some reason, Yuki seemed incredibly enthused. Suzuha was overwhelmed by her energy.
I don't know anything about that. Is that how it works, brother?
But even when she turned to Itaru for help, he just awkwardly sat there, eating his curry like a robot.
Brother?
He awkwardly turned his head to face her. The rest of him stayed completely still. Did you say something?
What's wrong? You're acting weird.
I'm not acting weird. I am not acting weird at all. Suzuha glanced back at Yuki. And for the first time, Yuki looked concerned. In the end, Yuki and Suzuha did have the curry eating contest, and surprisingly, both of them completely finished their meals. Suzuha won by a very small margin, but the battle was exciting enough that not only the other customers, but the staff as well were applauding at the end. But the whole time, Itaru kept eating by himself. Since this wasn't even a conversation, let alone a date, she sent Itaru home alone. Part of her wanted to demand Itaru explain himself right now, but she decided to talk to Yuki instead. She tried her best to avoid Yuki so far in order to keep her identity a secret, but it was July now. She would be gone from this era very soon. This might be her last chance to talk to Yuki at all.
I'm so glad you were there.
Yuki sighed a little after Itaru left.
Maybe I did something to offend him. Machida doesn't seem to enjoy being around me. You don't think he was just nervous? But he was having fun talking to me before the movie, you know? But after the movie, he started acting really strange. Did I do something wrong? I asked him to take me to the curry place, but since he was acting like that the whole time, I wasn't really sure what to do. And so since you happened to be there, I turned to you for help.
What had happened inside of the theater? Suzuha hadn't followed them inside. He'd spent about 2 hours killing time outside.
Hey. Why do you like my brother? Huh? Huh? I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but he's not exactly a lady killer. What do you think about your brother? Me? You like him? Hate him? You like him, right? I can tell by watching you.
Well, sure. There were parts of him that she didn't like. But of course she loved her dad.
Wait, why are we talking about me?
So, what about you?
I still don't really know if I like him or not. I see.
Not only had Daru not told Yuki he liked her, this was still their first date, and they hadn't spoken that much before either. She hadn't even reached the point where she saw him as a member of the opposite sex. For almost a year, Suzuha had stayed with him, and she, Mayuri, and Ferris had done everything they could to get the two of them together. But there hadn't been any real progress. Suzuha felt uneasy when she thought about the future. Maybe her dad wouldn't be her dad anymore. Maybe her mom wouldn't be her mom anymore. Dad and mom wouldn't be together. She imagined that future.
I don't want that.
She looked straight into Yuki's eyes.
I'm going to be leaving soon. What? I'm moving someplace far away. Really? I don't think I'll be back. I'm worried about Dad. I mean, my brother. Yuki. I know there's a weird thing for me to ask.
And then she bowed deeply.
Please take care of Itaru Hashida.
There was no answer from Yuki. Suzuha looked up, afraid, and tried to gauge the expression on her face. She looked kind of lonely, and kind of sad.
I don't know what I want to do.
Yuki whispered, and then Suzuha. And I think that there's a pretty good place to cut it. I'm gonna try to do a couple of longer episodes here since we're sort of rehashing a little bit of what happened in Gehenna's Stigma, but also with additional bits because, we are also, adding like the Maho bit. And they didn't have the paraphysiology thing with Reyes and Leskinen, yada yada yada. So while we are rehashing, we are also doing things a little bit differently. So gonna try to make these ones a little bit longer. But for now, thank you all so much for following my playthrough of Steins Gate Zero, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.